sit down. That's why the chairs.
Okay, thank you. I don't know what you want to say. Where do you want to start? Okay, we met as medical students at the University of Lagos. And let me just say that I went to medical school with a focus of becoming a missionary doctor. I never wanted to marry. I deal with a lot of my friends who have issues. I happen to know that many of my friends just want to read medicine, they want to marry, set up homes, blah, blah, blah. I went to read medicine because I wanted to set up a missionary outfit. While I was in A-levels, I had my first contact with Mama D, the missionary from SIM then, in the now called Austria University. And I was impressed by her, that she was single and she was reaching out to many people, and she homeschooled quite a number of children. She nurtured them, and I was challenged. I was in A-levels, Polytechnic Ibadan, and I felt, look, yes, this is what I had wanted to be. This is what I will be. And yes, so that's, for me, the beginning of the whole thing. And then our class was a unique set. The Christians were together. There were 5 sisters in my set, and I think we're about 200 and some. And but 5 sisters and some brothers. Some were older than us. He happened to be one of the pack that was older than us. So we looked at them as the big brother. We respected them. But that's how it ends, as far as I'm concerned. Nothing else. I think the rest of the story was entirely God's. I think that's the only way I can describe it. We were not the couple that met formally and you know, these days, you now kneel down and say, I want to marry. And all that. No. We were just talking in the female hostel, block 5, on our corridor. And it was the spirit just said, that's your husband. I said, no, Lord. No possible. And he was standing in front of me and said, if you say somebody is Lord, it can never be known to me. And at that point, I just looked at him like this. No. And I ran to my hostel. Well, that's the beginning of the story. I think the rest is now history.
The first thing I want to do is thank those of us who are here for coming here. We actually struggled to make sure that there are very, very, very few people present physically. We struggled to the extent that we wanted to do it in our sitting room. So we ensure that I not take a plenty of because we didn't want people to actually stress themselves on. But somebody seeking from Ibadan this morning, in spite of all that we did, to throw discouragement in their way by telling them just yesterday. I want to thank you for coming. I want to thank God because there is nothing that we can be or we are except God makes us. That. But I must also thank our children. As I said, left to me, dates are just dates. And because by the end of the day, the date will be passed. And you get to another day. That doesn't mean that we don't want to, I don't thank God for all that. But not every time. My birthday most times. Other people remember it like clock. That's why I don't remember some people's birthday sometimes. Goes past and then we're doing areas. I want to thank these children because to be candid, this is their making. And I've not seen children believe in their parents the way this one. I know they believe in God, but I have not seen children who believe in their parents to the extent. And I don't know how we did, because I'm not a very nice person. I'm a difficult person. And as I said somewhere, sometimes where we have lived before, it is usual for people to go to my wife, particularly where I have worked. But when I'm working, it's a different kettle of fish. So I've had several people ask my wife where I've worked, how do you cope with this man? Because they see the thing that I do at work, and they are wondering, how does a woman live with this kind of man if it's like this at work? But I want to thank God, because what is important is to understand that marriage was not made by NGOs. NGOs are fighting for marriage now. They are protecting women and protecting children, but they did not originate marriage. And unless you know the God that originated it and the plans that He has for it and how it should work, there is nothing that NGO or anybody is going to do to marry. And one can only thank God that He gave the understanding. So my understanding about marriage is that it will not work if you are not determined. Not work if you are not determined. It's just the marriage that works. It's the marriage of those who are determined. And those who know that there is something that God intends this marriage to do. And that if we do not allow it to work, what God intends this to do will not happen. So sometimes when I see feminists, my daughter, some kind of, I tell them that look, all these things, that the secret is somewhere else. It's good to fight for people, fight for women, fight for children, but just know exactly that God is the one that originates it. And because He's the one that originates it, He has given the two of you responsibilities. All right? God gave the woman responsibilities, regardless of whether the man is doing his own. God gave responsibilities to the man, regardless of whether the woman is doing her own. Because my attitude is this: when we come to the presence of God, if there will be a debate, I'm a believer that there will be no debate in the presence. There will be no interview. By the time you are gone, your fate is already determined. God will not argue with anybody. He has no business doing so. If you remember the word in the twinkling of an eye, we know that there is no time for interview. This idea that God will stand at the door and interview you and be, you better do what you want to do now. There's no interview. By the time you are gone, your fate is already sealed. There's no interview. You cannot convince either the devil or God at that time. So while we are on this side of Christianity, I believe that He wants each of us to fulfill responsibilities. When God says that a man should love his wife, He did not put the condition. I've had some men, how can I love her when she doesn't respect me? There is no condition. When God says, husband, love your wife, that's where it ends. You don't love your wife when she cooks good food. or when she does well, just says husband, love. As woman means vows. Even if it's a drunkard, if you are wise enough to marry a drunkard, you have to respect it. If what your wisdom leads you to is a old boy, you have to respect it. And I think that the last thing that I will say before we go, I tell my wife often that anybody can do anything. There's no man that cannot fornicate or commit adultery. Don't deceive yourself. What makes the difference is the fear of God. What will keep a man or a woman can cheat, a man can cheat, anybody can steal. But if you have the fear of God, it's the only thing that drives us away from what is bad. And most of the times when I see the way people behave, I just read no fear of God in all that is happening. And this one fears God, will not do this. Somebody who fears God will not beat their wife. You know. So as we read the Bible, I was talking to some young people yesterday, my first people, and I was telling them that there are no two gods. This God is one God. In the time of Moses, it was the same. In the time of Jesus, it was the same. In our time, it is the same. Anybody who tells you that the God of today is a mellow and a mendable is just fooling you around. And I told them that always, when you read Hebrews 12, that's a passage that I like very much because it ends with the last verse that our God, the way I read it, our God is still a consuming. That's how I read that verse. I know that still is not in the verse, but that still allows me to know that He has not changed. And if we know that God has not changed, and we fear Him, we will run our lives in the way. There's no man who cannot beat his wife. It's the fear of God and the love that God has asked us to have. And my prayer is that whatever we do or say here, at least you are very funny. These children that are saying very good things. We are not very nice parents, and I tell you. We are not very. I mean, when I see very nice parents, I just pity them. I say, "You are waiting for that." I see very nice parents. Also want to touch them. Back my head. You think people tell us all kinds of things. You know, when I went to British, I told them I can never raise my children. Will allow me. Yes. When I saw the way they were raising their own children, I ran back. I look, why these children are still children? I cannot come back. Because the way I want to raise them, that society, you know how I got to. I would rather go back and do well, I'm sure that when we start to talk, maybe a few things naturally, we know that we are not very nice parents. These children are just nice children. It's not a reflection that we are very nice. But one of the most stupid things that I know in our time is for a man to get to the age of 40 years and now be telling you, remembering what their parents did to them, and now begin to appreciate it. You know that many of us are like that. We never appreciated them when they were training us. We abused them. We said bad things about them. We said how wicked they were. You then get to 45 years and look back and say, thank God that they did it. And you think you are doing anything very fantastic. It's just an expression of stupidity. Because you ought to have known and recognize what you are doing or adopt. After you have abused them, reported them to all kinds of people, you just get to one place and now remember that it's good that they beat me. It's good that they beat me. Or you have said all kinds of things about them all over. It took you so long. It took many of us so long for God to show us that what they were doing at that time, that it was good for us, was correct for us. I think that what I would pray is that the Lord will help us to have understanding so that, as we go along, like we will have correct interpretation of what is happening to us. Because it's the interpretation that makes the difference. If you don't have a correct interpretation of what is happening to you, then you will give it a wrong meaning. And that wrong meaning will make you to do certain things that you will not have done. And it will delay you certain things that you ought to have done. Thank you very much. Tony, now that you have appeared.
I think I'm going to hand over to the moderator for the actual. I hope we have questions because we're just going to jump in. There's no sermon. There's no, just whatever is on your mind. You ask, answer, ask. It's just going to be interactive like that. So I want to appeal, because of those that are on Zoom, please, whatever we're doing, in case the mic trips up, let's just speak up so that everybody on Zoom can also benefit from the question you're asking and the answer that is given. So over to you, Mr. Moderator.
Thank you very much. Okay. I know, first of all, let's appreciate our celebrants. Let's appreciate them. Let us do that. Please, if you are clapping, please. Yes. I know funny enough online there was supposed to be jotting. Even if we are not jotting now, I know we're jotting somewhere. Yes, quite a number of things that expressed from what was said. And you know what they did earlier? They did like they were not going to talk. But if you had actually given them more time, and something happened before they started talking. I actually have a picture on my phone. When Prof looks down like this, they are talking, and Prof is looking down. Be careful of what he says next. Some people can bear me weakness. I don't know if you have expressed that before, but when we are in a meeting, when both of them, we attend the same church, and when we're in Bible study or something, and Prof or Doctor looks down, their hand is high. Be careful of your next statement. That your next statement can either make or mar you. Because when you just see, I have something to say. Well, sorry, sorry. You see, they were both teasing one another. No, you talk, as if they were not going to say anything. But you see, Prof wasn't going to speak longer than. Of course, Adi. Yes. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. I know we're going to have quite a number of questions. And first, again, we recognize and appreciate those that have been online. They waited while we're having the technical issues and stayed. And I know many people will still join. So we appreciate everybody. Thank you for joining. I want to, before we go to the questions and answers, we're going to recognize those that just walked in. Sir, I know you just walked in. Please, if you don't mind, yes, the mic will get to you. You just introduce yourself. Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ayodeji Olatrunji.
Okay, please. Are you related to that person? Yes. What? You are doing like you're not both. It's on it. Because she had introduced herself earlier and we saw her alone. But now you are here. Please let's give him a round of applause. I like that. Now I'm here. It's no longer alone. All right. Yes, ma.
My name is Bade. This is a lot difficult for me, Egyptian. I am really for the I wouldn't have needed to talk. Thank you.
All right. I hope you've not seen any similarity anywhere. Please don't ask questions. Again, I said my name is Ifeolu Olubegi. I leave you to fill in the gap if you're ready to fill in the gap. Any questions on that?
Are you related?
Oh, I started it. Are we related? I think somehow by color, by smile, by name, by talking, somehow. No. Please, let's not go that way. Because my script, I hope my script mapped well. All right, thank you. All right. Now we're going to be going to the question and answer section. Yeah, please ask any question. Any question. So, who goes first? I anticipated. I anticipated already, and I know mommy and daddy were already anticipating.
Praise God.
Hallelujah.
Congratulations, man. Asa. Lórúkọ Jésù. Ọkọ àgbo. Ìyàwó àkútà. Àwọn Yorùbá mọ̀. All right, man. I just have one solution. In our days, now, they emphasize too much on romance. Romance your wife, romance your husband, romance. What is the place of romance in your time? How do you romance each other? You look too serious. You say you're not a nice parent. What is romance to you, sir?
Okay, who goes?
That's
Within the home setting, I think we do a lot of things together and in anticipation. Okay, sometimes not consciously, sometimes consciously. While I wouldn't write a note on romance, right? As far, I don't know what you do now. Right, that's the truth. But I know that there is a place for a graded intimacy. You need your wife. She's your wife. She's not a piece of wood. You are under your own tension as a man. I'm talking as a woman now. You are under your own pressures. But there is a soft landing. You are living with somebody. So she also has her own pressures. She also has desires. She's not supposed to be, you just bounce and then we go on. No, that lady needed to have some piece of you. One thing is this, and I can't underestimate it, the issue of communication. You talk with your hands, you talk with your eyes, you talk with the whole of your body. So we know that there is something. For me, that's part of romance. Okay? It is not everything that ends up with sex. I'm going to work in the morning. My husband gets up and gives me a peck on the lips. Yes, he's made my day. And if he owes me, yes, sometimes he owes me. When I come back, I will say, Daddy, share more. Jenny, is a come at Then he will say, okay. And now I went to work in the morning. I missed my kiss. So he's owing me. And there is no argument about it. And if he's traveling or he just came back from traveling, no matter how tired I am, I know he deserves a hug, going or coming. You understand? So both of us looks forward to it. My husband is coming back, he's looking forward to my hug. And I'm also doing the same. Those are, and I'm being very practical, those are the tiny things. Nobody in the relationship should be taken for granted. Okay? I call it, when I talk, I call it the danger of monogamy. But they are the small things that fire and keep the marriage afloat. We talk on phone. I send him, he's traveling. I know he's going to Abuja. I don't just say bye-bye and it's gone. I want to know when he arrived Lagos. I want to know when he's boarding. I want to know when he has landed. When he gets to his hotel, have you eaten? He knows that question will always come. And I will look at my time and say, you have not booked your dinner. No, darling, book your dinner. He will tell me the cost. So we are constantly, so if there's anything at the home front, I also will feed him in. Oh, there's no light, show more. Pump me. We will all get all that done. So he knows my milieu. I know. And I know that he's going for a meeting at 9 a.m. I'll wake up at 8 and blow him a kiss. Yes. And he will do the same. You know? So those are things, they are small things, they are not written. But they are things that happen to us on a daily basis. And it wasn't something.
You know, I'm a very serious and cerebral person. I don't have time for nice things. You know, because when you were saying romance, I know what, because I don't know about its romance. But let me tell you, see, God, the nerves are there already. We are flesh and blood. The nerves are there already. They only need to be pushed. But you also need to know the limit. And many of the people who are looking for this romance are people who are not married. So, if you don't know the limit, you will do what you want to do. The nerves are there, all the sensory nerves are there. God has already put them there. If you get to where they are, they will make you respond the way you ought to respond. Right? But even in medicine, anatomy, we talk about the higher cells, the higher powers. There are higher orders. Your brain is meant to control those things as well. Those whose brains who have not allowed their own brains to be able to moderate the nerves are the people who misbehave. So, and I think it is important for us to know that when God has made somebody for you, and you have recognized that person, He also moderates that bit. And no matter how mature you are, particularly as a man, every woman is touched. You know, he has had this morning. Some of us men, the last time you fed your wife was on your day of marriage. But I do my own almost every day. Even small thing, I will just put. You know, if you are visitors and I don't want you to sit, I will let you, I will distract you, but I will help you. Yeah, that's if I don't want. I think we are meant, you see, it's not a head relationship, it's also a heart relationship. And a heart relationship draws you closer to one another. When I sit in church, you know, because this romance really to me is at the surface. Most of it is at the surface. And then gives me in touch. Anybody who is quarreling about that is another person entirely. That's not romance. If all you are targeting is that the man must be touching, the man must be doing this, must be doing that, then you are baby. But everybody must know that it is necessary to touch one another. That's why God put us there. You know, when I'm anywhere, not just in church, and I see a husband and a wife, and they sit, I don't think I've said this before, but this goes on in my mind. You know, I don't think I've said what I'm going to say publicly. And I see a woman and her husband, a man and his wife. And throughout like 1 hour, 1.5 hours, there is no, I know something is wrong. I've never told anybody that, you know. But husband that you sit at a meeting in a place, 1 hour, everybody, both of you are just, I will tell myself, I won't tell them, but I know something. Because that's not how God made us. When there is a relationship, there be something to, you know, to whisper to me. I can't even with far pusher or something like that. You know, so you know, it's not difficult to know when a relationship has not been dated properly. So, but if it is just a romance, they just see the two of you going together at the same time, wearing the same dress. Some people have just punched themselves, but they are wearing the same dress in church. You know, that's not the romance. And I'm not telling you, don't come and tell your wife that I've said that's not romance. I didn't say that. I have hugged my wife this morning. She has had a kiss at this point. Sometimes there are one for the road and two for the price of one. You know, so I think that is part of relationship. It is not much to be able to say, well, look, when will you become a Omode? If you are not an Omode, you are supposed to be Omode throughout life. So if you don't want to do what Omode is at, you are probably not doing what God wants. So it is important to do. It is true that some of our young people, they pay too much attention to it. I think That's where the question is coming from. There's too much emphasis. And that's why somebody gets pregnant prematurely. You know, they don't know, they lose control. It's very easy to lose control if you don't know how to put a limit. And once you lose control, particularly women, they don't know. After some time, you can do anything you like. You'll be regretting later. You know, something like that. But everything has been done by that time. And the heavens have recorded the fornication and the adultery, and then you are, and somebody is assuring you not to worry, not to worry. You know, I don't like to read the Bible, but in 1 Corinthians, Apostle Paul says that you should not let it happen. How many times? That passage. Once. I mean, you didn't read your Bible. He talks about fornication. And Apostle Paul says, let it not be once. Yeah, you are telling God, wait, this is the middle or something like that. You know, sometimes I don't know the Bible that people read. He says, let it not happen once. And you are saying, David Jekanoni, at Jeremy. And somebody saying, God understands, my friend. God doesn't understand. If I don't understand, he doesn't understand. I don't understand either. You know, so when we are talking about romance, let us know that it is for those who have worked sufficiently with God, that they know where to place.
For one question, we can write a book. I hope you are taking notes, even just on one question. Okay. All right. We welcome those that have just joined us. In due course, we'll be getting to know you. Well, before I go to the next question from the house, we just want to read some of the comments from those. Right? We have the Reverend Canon of Peoluwa, who said, your lives and times will continue to please God and train men or women in Jesus' name. Love you forever. Michael Asoka said, congratulations to mom and dad, yes, in Christ. Ezekiel Adigole, okay. Congratulations to Professor and Dr. Mrs. P. Olatunjis on your 40th wedding anniversary. We bless God for his faithfulness in the lives of this mother. The Lord will make your marriage more blissful. His grace will continue to be sufficient for you, and will keep you and your family in Jesus' mighty name. Amen. Ezekiel and Bola Adigone. Okay. Some things are actually happening online here. We don't need to read everything. Some laughing and some. Okay. Let me read this last one. We'll come back to some other messages later. Congratulations, mommy and daddy. 40 years is no mean feat in today's world. And attest to the discipline daddy is alluding to by saying they were not very nice. Can you see that people are actually following? But they were always fair. At least they will tell you why Mr. Do-Good visited your body. And I remember all the discipline with gratitude. God bless and continually keep this union. Lots of love. Ayodeji, all the way from Accra, Ghana. Can we just clap for him or her? She. Oh, thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you very much. All right. We'll come back to some of this other comments later. And now we have who is going. Oh, I don't know, ma'am, made a question. And you can answer a question. Okay, I want senior. I want to believe that life is a bit easier and friendly now than when you got married. Particularly when it comes to the issue of fiber gown. I know that it would be an grandma. And mommy was from Ekiti. Now was from Ekiti. And now is a girl woman. And I remember that one of my sisters, after your marriage, she today was discouraged of marrying
marry another man. And she had to wait for another 10 years before she could get a man. How did you manage your own? Because Ekiti, Kifega, and this group, was there an issue during your time?
A quick question.
That is the Ekiti Abo.
I think in the church this morning, I was saying to myself, many of you know the reason why I'm excited. I'm 40 years married. To a man, they told me he would never. My father called me and said, Ekitis, don't marry. Oh, Bashio Pripima. Ben. Yes. That he had a cousin. I know the lady. Came to Abeokuta, had 4 children, 4 boys, and all of them died in quick succession within 10, 15 years. And the one had to return back. That's and I told my father that this one is not for me. I have no hand. I wasn't looking for it. And I wasn't going to marry. But God gave me this man. It was a gift. And it took me time for even me to see and accept it. So if it is from God, He will bless me. And no one will stand against. So when I stood in front of you in church this morning, there was a lot going on in my life. I didn't have to do anything. It was a battle. But the Lord won. I'm sure a few of the sisters who are here knows the real detail. It was a battle. At some point, my siblings were turned against me. And for the benefit of those of you who didn't know, for 4 years in the medical school, my father paid no money. And it was a battle line that was drawn between him and God. And I remember telling him that if this is from God, He will sustain. And I don't borrow. I don't beg. Even him did not know that I wasn't taking money from home into our house. And the Lord fed me, clothed me, and paid my fees.
You asked me what I was doing all that time. I was praying. And I was telling her to love that father. Like the only thing I think to do is to pray. Our own Christianity was not as far as now, but we know where we're going. We know what we want from God. And was praying. But one thing I knew is that we must continue to love the man. This story cannot will only be told fully in a long session, because for those of you who are Anglicans, Papa Falope had to get involved in this matter in his lifetime, because he happened to be my father-in-law's friend, bishop. And also that much that we had to approach Papa Falope, and he did his own bit. But the day he would come to give his consent, he traveled from Ilupeju, doing house job in Malaysia, to come and communicate his consent to us. It's not that we went to him, but a lot went under. A lot was there was something, a lot to bear during that period. But I knew that we never hate. And my daughter should never hate him. Because at the end of the day, he became my father-in-law. So you don't cause your father-in-law, because he will remain your father-in-law unless you want to go elsewhere. But the lesson here is this. If you know that this is where God is asking you to do, there is no individual that can stand in the way. If they stand in the way, the person who is sending you there will remove them from you. And that the message of love is the most important that I know. Some of them can be very difficult. They can be very extreme. But the only thing that we owe everybody, we owe them love. And if you can find a place to love them and to pray for them and to be sure of what God is asking you to do, it will eventually happen. So that's my, let's be sure, particularly as Christians, let's be sure that this is what is God is asking. And if there's a problem, pray about it. Continue to love. At the end of the day, because they saw that, I will still go to them during that period. Because see that wherever I sit down, I will sit down like that. They will not get anything from my mouth. But I will sit down there. When they have things to do, I will attend. They will be seeing me, but I will not disturb anybody down there until God sent him to go and to come and give his consent.
Thank you very much, sir. That was indeed deep and profound. And one word that, or two words that came out from that discussion was prayer and love. You know, in this age and time, that moment, I don't know if you are aware, in this age and time, so yeah, you know, earlier I told you that we're going to be assisted by somebody, so he has come to co-host. Yes, thank you very much. Yes, God bless. Yes. Okay, good. Now, it is this age and time when people say that woman, that my mother-in-law is so bad, I don't want to have a mother-in-law. May she die before I get inside. Forgetting that one day they will become one. It is this day and time where people say, let him or her just pave the way so that I will have peace. But forgetting that, you see, when I said I'm actually old in marriage to 18 months, so I have some experience. but you see, experiences, some of us that are coming up today had to be intentional like that, their mom said, and I know marriage is about intentional. And enough of all these things that we see outside on social media. I know that we are not the social media, but the younger ones, I wish many of the younger ones could actually listen to more of these things. We know that. We know what happens in Hollywood. And Abby, many people have been deceived by films. That's why it's find out. People get to very wonderful wedding. Talk of the town. Even the stadium will not consider crowd. They're on Bella Nigeria, they're on every news, whatever, social media blog. 1 year. Pardon me, sir. This is not question and answer. I have to bring to know why 40 years is actually is comedian was speaking. He did a skit on his channel on the social media handle one day. I was saying, was arguing with his wife why they always have to buy ashwebi. You know why? He said that many of the dresses they bought have outlived the marriages. So kept bringing out the dress that the wife sold and brought out over 10 dresses. I was saying, since this one, the marriage is not together. This one, the marriage is not together. The dress is still available. Once it divorce, the dress that they did for the action is still available. But the marriage, they are not married. They are not even together. And that's the world we live in today. And so you see how they've managed under God and this is what he has. And of course, before the end of the session, I'm going to have a quick session to see how many years we've all done that. After them, I know some people I can use my eyes to count some people that are close. Okay, and then we just have random. So I know that the Lord will help us even beyond what God has done for them, right? Amen. Amen. All right. Before we continue, Sir and Ma, I know you work in later. We would like to know you. Yes.
Good evening, everybody. We came in late because we were going to the old venue that we had moving around the estate. So we thought to my name is Shem, David Olori. Okay, so this is Baraki of David Olori Day. And Mommy and Daddy are special to us. Can I also ask questions? Why? Yeah. Okay.
So you have just taken that spot, right? So the second question for the evening. Okay. One, two, three.
Okay, so I've heard some of the things that always saying. I've had opportunity to hear that before. And it's always good when we find like when you hear 40 years anniversary, 50 years and all of those things. I love hearing them because the good picture. Like you just know that this thing is attainable. Thank God. So my husband and I will be married 15 years. And then we're close friends. So I think that friendship covers a lot of things. So one time we really needed to talk to people, and we just, who can we talk to? They were the ones that stood out as old people in marriage that had experience, and so we gathered a lot of sense from talking. But while I was listening to the questions today, I just felt like there are some certain things, because Daddy, I want to ask. There are some certain things that Daddy was saying that it exhibits what I hardly see in marriages around me, not just me liking. It's almost as if it's a taboo to talk to people or to ask advice or to look at someone else and say, please, how are you guys doing this? Can you show us? I want to ask Daddy that because most of the time, even therapists, counselors complain about this and say the man does not want to come. The man does not want anybody to hear. And people are suffering. Being pastors, we've had opportunity to counsel couples and all that. And the same issue remains. We're still praying for somebody today. And the only reason that marriage seems lopsided is the man does not believe he needs to talk to anybody. So, Daddy, have you ever had to talk to someone? Or is it that you never ever had questions? And if you were able to, what can you tell maybe younger men that can learn from, maybe asking for help? I hope I answered. Yes.
Thank you very much. One of the things that scares me was in answering that question, let me just, because if I was talking about some of the things. One of the things that I've known since my school days is that some of our ladies have read too many foreign books. I consider them a lot of stumbling block. They have read how a woman wakes up in the morning and there was a cup of tea by his side. They've read all kinds of flowery kind of things. And one of the problems that I see is that, these women are expecting from this crude African men, you are going to be disappointed. There are all kinds of books there. But, those people And the worst thing is that all that thing that we are reading in the book, it doesn't go deep, even with them. All these things that they will write, flowery things, how they were doing themselves, but very soon you will see them go apart. I mean, I see them in Milan, they travel to so and so, and the next year, you know, they are out. I think that number one, I am open to discussing anything. There's nothing that I don't believe can be discussed with anybody. So I always leave room. You know, even in our profession, there are camps and things like that. You can't put me in any camp because you cannot get me to a situation that I cannot talk to somebody and somebody cannot talk to me. I don't allow that at all. But I'm not everybody. Now, let me also give a warning, because sometimes I hear pastors too say at marriage that nothing should get out of the two of you. There is nothing hellish than that. That whatever happens to you, let it be between the two of you. Don't allow third party. I have never read that in the Bible. And sometimes it comes from the pulpit. Because there's coming a time that people must be told. There's coming a time when one third party, you will need the help of a third party. You know, one of the things that I ask God to help me to do is to keep me responsible. Many third parties are irresponsible. That's why people don't go to anybody. Because you say something like that to somebody, some people may not even say it to other people, but you hear it on the pulpit. You know, and the moment you do that, nobody wants to talk to anybody again, because they believe that no matter, we cannot keep secrets. We cannot maintain confidentiality. I think that is also a part. Well, generally, men are arrogant in quotes, but not men that have been regenerated, not men that have been sacrificed. Any man who grows to that extent that he doesn't want to tell you, don't want anybody to. You know, when couples come to us for counseling, one question that I usually ask them, I will face the man and say, look, is there anybody, or tell the woman, is this man that you want to marry, do you know somebody who can call him to order? If the answer is no, I know they're already in trouble. Or I ask the man, this woman you want to marry, do you know anybody that once the person calls her, she has to answer and listen? Why am I asking that question? Because the day that things break, that is the person to go to. And if that kind of person does not exist, and it is true, many of us, man, woman, we have no respecter. We are not respecter of anybody. Nobody can call us. People like that are not people of God. You cannot be a child of God and live like that. So I will ask them, is there somebody that you can talk to? If this man goes haywire, if this woman goes haywire, is there somebody that you can talk to? If they say no, I happen to know now, as I speak, that majority of marriages were already built for failure even before marriage. I happen now, from interaction, I know that the seed of failure is already sown before almost every marriage. And if those two people, if one of them at least cannot see it, they will enter into it. But if you just, the way you are behaving, the way, you know, while they are still cutting, you know, certain things will happen and you will know that They call it rema. There's nothing that God cannot cure or heal. So, my sister, one is partly the nature of men. We are arrogant, we are cocky, we want to be macho. But I think that our women need to study their husband and their husband to be, and find somebody. There must be somebody they can talk to about that man. Now, if you are going to marry somebody and you don't know anybody like that, there's danger already on the way. And if you study the man enough, you will at least know somebody. You know, the problem I have mostly with women is that after they have told you all the woes, and you now say, can I call the man? You know, actually, that's what defeats me most. You say, now that you have said this thing, can I call the man? No. If you tell me, it will become more problem. Let more problem come, because that's the way to the solution. You know, so many times the handicap comes to me from the women. They will say all kinds of things. And when you say, look, you like all the man, they say, no. Don't let him know that I would then ask myself, so what is all this time that we have all spent together about this matter? So women need to actually pick up a bit of courage to allow us to challenge this man. If you know somebody who can challenge the man, don't be afraid that the house will become hotter, because that's the fear of many women, that after that interaction, the house is likely to become hotter. But if you reach a man who knows the man, the house will not be hotter. Because it depends on how the interaction goes. All right. So I think that one, women must study their men to know who they consider very important to themselves, because those are the people to go to. But certainly not his mother. Not his mother or his father. Because you cannot send the man back home. You understand what I'm saying? You cannot use your hand to send the man back home. Because by the time you now are reporting him to his father and his mother, it's like, oh, yes, you know, that this one is not well brought up. You know, I've got problem from you. And if they happen to love their child more than you, then it will expand the problem. So most likely it shouldn't be. I mean, they can rise up and say they want to go to their father-in-law, the two of them, to settle a matter. But if you choose the father or the mother, it may boomerang depending on who the person is. But there must be somebody. There must be somebody that you know is close to them, and that person should be able to reach them. That is the little that I can say, because as a man, I know how it can happen. But the fear of women, even for us to talk to their men, is the problem that I have. But I don't have problem talking to any man. I mean, if the father will abuse me, but if it gets hotter, it is so that it can cool down. Praise the Lord.
All right. We will take questions online. First question here says, as both of you are medical doctors, how did you manage to strike a balance between your professional responsibilities and duties at home? And that I know that you really have a lot to say, but because of time, we'd like that.
I brief.
Yes. That I can take more questions.
So you are the one that here is managed.
Okay, well, I think by principle, let me start by saying that. By principle, I happen to believe that in marriage, there are sacrifices. As doctors, yes, there is no competition in the home. I'm sure you heard from the opening that my husband and I were mates, even though he was So by choice, I decided to stay back. I remember my father coming in and fighting that his parents paid his fees, blah, blah, blah. Why should he go and do residency and become a consultant and you want to be doing medical officer? And I told him, sorry, Dad. I'm already Mrs. Olatunji. This is how we want our own home. A chance I want to become a consultant in future. I'll get there. If I don't want to by our own agreement, it stays. So for me, I think the balance is having a relationship with God that transcends what people will say or what opinion they really think or have about your home. My usual challenge to ladies is that, what is your vision at the point of marriage? Because I happen to know that many of us don't have a vision. We just want to marry and have children. And perchance, well, if God helps us, we raise them. And if not, the children will find their own level. Like you found yours. Maybe both parents were not born again like mine. But I found Christ, and Christ made it. So I think from my perspective, the first thing is your vision for God, for the whole. And then the plan of action, one after the other, just follow God. And I'm sure He will lead the way. I eventually did residency. I eventually did a consultant. I'm an associate professor. My husband is a full professor. Doesn't really matter. And well, by God's grace, I know I'm on the ladder. But for me, that's not the aim. The ultimate aim is my home, pleasing the Lord at every point. While the children were in school, and my husband had to write papers, and he had to go abroad, so I should be flying. I shouldn't look around. It won't work. So I knew that I had things to do, or there was no fuel. Anybody who lived in Ilorin, you hardly have fuel. We hardly. And the children were attending university secondary school. We live in Adewale. Sometimes I had to sleep in the petrol station to get fuel. Sometimes I take them to school and drop the car there when my husband was not around. I had to change tires. He didn't do anything to me because I knew it was for that period. And when he came around, he did his bit. And I think that is the issue. It is not, because this issue we are dragging at is not because we are both. There are lawyers, there are teachers, and they are not able to find a balance. I think the balance is in how much you allow God to control what you think is your right, if you really have it.
He did not say that thing very well. She decided that she will not start, because residency was very difficult. She decided that she will not start residency until she has had all her children. So we had all her children before she entered residency. That was already there. All right. So there were other. So that's a sacrifice. That's why I'm committed to becoming a professor. You know, because it is not it cannot be one-sided. I am committed to that project. And it will happen because it will happen, and because that will make me very, very happy, because I don't want those sacrifices to have been our thing. When we were living, I mean, maybe questions will not even. When I was living in Ilorin, I finished residency in Ibadan, usage. And I took a job in Ilorin, and she had just started her. You know, it was. Many people told her that she must stay back to Ibadan and enjoy, because a well-equipped place. You know, it was just like University of Ilorin. But she opted that once I was living in Ibadan for Ilorin, that we were all going together to Ilorin. And she then joined the residency in Ilorin, which was a peaceful, but God ensured that her training was also not interrupted in any way. It was the fastest that it could be. That's why I said,
A round of applause. Thank you very much, sir. I hope we are indeed getting something right from the young and old, whether you just married this year, you're as married as. But it's by September, this September, that we're moving into the 49 months. That's a loss, right? 49 months. What's that? Oh, really? I know that many of the younger people understand. You older people, you are married, you are enjoying yourself. But you see people get married, the next week they are divorced. Next month, next year. So really, when a couple today celebrates first year anniversary, you do Thanksgiving. Second year anniversary. 4 years, 5 years, 10 years. Thank you, sir. So, all right, we'll go to the next question. We welcome those that just came in. We will be recognizing you. Thank you very much. Just wave. Yes, you are here. Thank you very much. So, we will recognize you. We have the next question. What is your take on a couple having said this question? I'll start again. What is your take on a couple having separate rooms or living in different homes while married? Is it against the typical model of matrimony, or is it okay? You see how they are consulting as consultants and how to answer the question. I will leave the ball into their courts. I'll put in the middle. Okay, that is okay.
Actually, it's a very funny question to me, because I could never conjecture either. I could never understand mommy's room, daddy's room, you know, mommy's house, daddy's house, because I didn't see any example like that in the Bible to start with. You know, maybe some people have read their Bible more than me, but I didn't see any indication in the Bible that God expects, and we didn't. I mean, it doesn't matter how many rooms there are in the home, because you see, one thing that many people have failed to appreciate is that when you read the book of Genesis, he said they were no, they were one flesh. I used to tell people that the way God made man and woman is like it is possible that the two of you won't be able to enter different cars. That you are so gummed together that you cannot go in separate cars because the body will tear. That is my understanding of that passage. And so, even if we cannot do that, even if we cannot glue ourselves, I don't think it makes sense, you know, to have daddy's rooms. By the grace of God, we have a fair number of rooms in our house, but I can never see how there can be different rooms for a man and a woman who are married under God. What is the secret that you want to do in your room that the other ones cannot have? You didn't hear what Apostle Paul said. Even this one, it must be by consent now. According to Coco agree, that's what Apostle Paul says. This idea of a woman having bribery and the husband does not understand, and the other one, two, three. I don't understand. I didn't read it in the scriptures. You know, so I don't understand it at all. And I want to plead because it is a sign of problem. Somebody is hiding something from the other. Because I don't know, I mean, is it not this body like that? Never mind though, there are still couples who are sleeping on the same bed, but each of them has their own part of the bed. Though. Yeah, the principle is the same. You can be sleeping on the same bed, but each of you, the bed is already split like this. You know, so the woman knows which side to sleep. The man knows which side. It's as good as having 2 rooms. There's a problem that God needs to solve. So I don't understand. Those who used to do it, they are babalawos. Who, you know, a woman, there are some drugs that a woman must not touch, you know, that must not see woman. Those are the people who used to do it. Or something like that. But under God, peradventure somebody is still doing it. Please find a way to merge the room because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make any sense at all. Once you are doing that, I know you are hiding something. There's something to do that you want to hide. Can you hide yourself from your flesh? That's the question the Bible has now. Can you hide if the woman is actually your flesh and you are also her flesh, how are you going to enter 2 different rooms when you are bound together and gummed together by God? So many of us don't understand. We just enter these things, huh? You know, we don't go to the manufacturer. The manual is there. The scripture is complete if you will read it. So I don't know how it is possible. Nobody can make me do it. And I've never done it. So praise the Lord.
Thank you very much. I want to believe that is quite clear. And there's no need going back and forth about that. Even me, it's just 48 months. Don't mind me. I also determined, just like you said, I also determined that my marriage, there are so many things in our world. Daddy and mommy, they're not seeing the things that we are seeing. But really, there are quite so many things in our world that concern the survival of every home. And so I know that you are encouraging us, you are there for us, those who have gone ahead. So encourage us more when you see younger couples say 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. Yeah, no, actually I took that emphasis. I already planned it. I'm just trying to act the script so that but really, okay, we have another question. Sorry. Yes. What is your take on surrogacy in marriages with childbearing delays? Is this something Christians are allowed to do?
Well, the issue of surrogacy, as far as I'm concerned, and as far as I know, I think it is not a sin. I think you have a headache, you can take another, right? For me, I think particularly in child delays, I think that there is absolutely nothing wrong. So long as you are not closing the door of God. Even the child you want to adopt and bring into your life. Yes.
That's not surrogacy.
Yes.
Surrogacy is not adoption.
Is taking another person's child.
No, it is having pregnancy for somebody else. That is surrogacy. Somebody can, a woman decide that he will get pregnant for this couple who cannot get pregnant.
Oh my.
For one reason, for one reason or the other, you are going to carry. Maybe the woman doesn't even have a womb self, and you then choose somebody who will get pregnant. But when he finishes the pregnancy, you are the owner of the child. The person must forget is another way of adoption. So, want us to postpone our answer? You want us to postpone the answer? No. I think that I've read the Bible too much, because everybody is allowed to have his own wife. All right, and every woman is allowed to have a husband. And I believe that when we are talking about offspring, it is the product of that union that is the proper offspring. I don't know any other way of putting it. I think that, you see, this is very deep for me, in the sense that Christianity to help people to live their lives the way it is. If somebody is not married now, we will be looking at them with one bad eye like that. But what our job is as Christians is to assist that person to live positively in that situation until God changes it. Not to help them to find the corner way. The world is always full of corner. But we are not where our faith is supposed to give us strength to confront our challenges. If possible, to live with it. You know, this is something that is not preached in the church, but that is it. It got to a time between God and Satan that he says, look, don't bother me about this anymore. That's God, though. He told the apostle, don't worry me about anything about this. But the grace that I'm giving you is sufficient for you. If that is not sufficient, don't leave me. That's God, though. So, we are not helping people in Christianity to find the kind of mind that we ought to have. That it is indeed possible for somebody not to have a child, and for the person to live a proper Christian life, that we will not make life difficult for the person. Because anything that God cannot do, once you have decided that there's something that God cannot do, including make a person barren, that God has reduced. What actually makes God God is his ability to kill and his ability to make alive. Our understanding of God is such that he's not a God for anything that is bad. But if he's not a God for anything that is bad, then he's not God sufficiently. If you have found a limit to what God can do and cannot do, then you have reduced him actually to yourself. I think that's why I said this is deep. Because the answer is in helping somebody to live the life that he or she finds himself or herself before God until God decides to change that situation. But, you know, many of these things, let me put it under the banner of self-help. Today, there's a lot of self-help. And Christians need to be careful about self-help. Because all those things, it can be worse than that, than surrogacy. There's a lot, and I'm not, as a hematologist, I know about science, I know about the reproductive health, not as much as some people, but I know how it works. I know the help that it can give. So I'm not discounting that. But whatever science will do for you must be within the ambit of scriptures. I've told people before, that my sneaky feeling, you know, they have been going to space looking for the sign of life. You know what that will mean? Because what we are told is that God created men here on earth. If you find men in the moon, you know that what that does to the scriptures. But God did not create man on the moon. My Bible only tells me that he looked at the earth, he saw that it was very bad. And he perused it and put us here. So, and they are going to the moon, to go to Pluto, and looking for the sign of that. And up to today, not yet. I am hoping it won't happen. So I am just saying that yeah, I know, that's why I didn't go to that. I said, you are carrying the man submits his sperm, the woman submits the egg, they go and fertilize it out in vitro, and then another woman is carrying it. But that woman that is carrying it, know that once the baby comes out, you shouldn't even ask for the baby again. Just like adoption. You have no right to even talk about the baby again, because the people who actually own the baby are the ones that have the sperm and the egg. So you are not supposed, you have no right. You can't go to any court, you can't say this is my child again, because you just carried it there. Contract, that's a contract. It's a form of contract that you execute. You take whatever they give you and you go home. And that's why I say I'm not sure that that is the kind of thing that God intends for us. It is, they know why they don't have children. You know, I don't want to go into that bit. But our job is to pray for those. I've never seen a couple, every couple that I've known, that have come to us, that they cannot have children. We have told them, it takes only one sperm to fertilize an egg for a woman to get pregnant. So whether it is few or not few, there is only one single sperm that has to go there, and our God can send that one. And most of the time, don't let me say all the time, he has found that one to send. And people have gotten pregnant and had children. Look, we are very impatient with God. I think for me, we are very impatient with him. We cannot wait for him, even for 1 year. God cannot even wait 2 years. Once it's 2 years, like everybody is shaking to pieces. What is 2 years to God? What is 3 years to God? And those who persist in the 4th year, they don't get pregnant. But they could have done many things in the 2nd year and the 3rd year. I think we need to take God seriously. Because many of the things that we think we cannot do, you will just do it.
Thank you very much, sir. We will take a break from the questions online. See if you have questions. Oh, okay. Oh. So pardon me, please. Wow. Okay, congratulations, son, ma. When we mentioned that this particular marriage was ordained by God, that is said marriages are meant to fulfill God's purpose. Today's children talk of standards, giving examples of several things that must be in the spouse to be. What is your counsel on this for our young ones? Okay. She said you mentioned that this particular marriage, your marriage, was ordained by God. Like you did not intend for it, and God ordained you. That is, say marriages are made to fulfill God's purpose. Today's children talk of standards, giving examples of several things that must be the spouse be. What is your counsel on this for your ones?
Let me just say that for me, in my days in school, sisters have what they call a shopping list. And on that shopping list must be tall, must be
6 bars.
Thank you. You seem to know the list. So even to cars, the kind of background you must be coming from, even way back then. And at least because I have 1 or 2 Christian sisters who were very serious. And I remember that the only thing I used to tell them, just drop that list before God. Then you know, God is not, he doesn't force us against that. He works with our will. That much I know. But please just tell God at the end of that list, not my will, but your will. So at the end, the man he gives you may fit it, may not. But if it is his will, he will fulfill the purpose of God in your life. And I don't think I've changed since then. I still believe very firmly that you are entitled to it. You know, you are entitled to tell God, I want him to be 6 feet, 9 inches. I want him to be this long and all that, fair or dark, whatever. It must have 3 degrees, it must have 5 cars and all that. We're free. But however, if you call yourself a child of God, and like if you remember one of the things I said, you had a vision for the home that you think God wants to be. At the end of that shopping list, just quietly say, Lord, not my will, but your will. Because from personal experience and experience of people who are close, his will always go beyond what everything, right? And maybe I can talk about this at this program. My husband is shorter than me, I'm sure you know. When he first came, because I want you to know that these things are normal. When he first came, one of the things I noticed, I told him, I said, it's true, I don't want to be married, but if anything will touch you. So I remember that after I finished my battle with God and all that, you know, when we were preparing for our wedding, I said, look, on that day, fortunately, my church has steps. So, number 1, you will buy a huge lace shoe. Number 2, you will stay on the step higher than me. I will stay a bit lower. Actually, I can't remember. I remember all our wedding pictures. I can't remember whether somebody stood on the plane and the other. For me, at that point, it was the joy that God, this has been something that is said in the gospel, and you are making to come to pass. It didn't really matter. And that's how it's been. I don't live in the consciousness of whether it's short and I'm tall. For me, it didn't really matter. It doesn't just cross my mind. I remember somebody met me someday, I was going to buy it. And he was saying, oh, really? Really? Is that your problem? It's not our problem in the house. If I chose to wear something, I do. But I'll come down. I used to wear 4 inches. I'll come down because it's no longer comfortable for my health. So it's not because my husband is short that I'm wearing low shoes. It's because for me, that's what is comfortable for my health. I don't think my husband even thinks about it. He doesn't. So I think it's normal to think about certain things. But however, please let us always drop our will, our wishes for the ultimate will and wish of God in our lives.
Thank you very much, Ma. Okay, then Olatunji, you mentioned how strict you were when raising your children. What is your sincere advice to young parents that are planning Japa or had Japa with their little ones?
Well, I think those ones have lost the battle. I'm telling you, I don't want to deceive people. I lost the battle with their children. Our own children are there. You know, I remember I had to call my son from work one day. He's in New Zealand. I didn't want to make that call when his wife was around. But I was warning him about that. I was warning him about certain particular issues that I know that if I raise it between the two of them, it can cause trouble. And it has to do with the life of children. I value the children that God has given me. Seriously. I know when we had problem in the learning and we didn't have a job, one professor from Chagam was always on my neck to come to OU. And I refused. Why did I refuse? This girl that you are seeing was going to write school SAT. I think she was in SS2 or something like that. So I didn't tell the person the reason. I just kept saying from because my problem was that I didn't want to disrupt her education. I didn't want to come to Shagamu in SS3 and be looking for a school for her. So I had made up my mind that until she does that school that I began, me, I'm not leaving the place. But I didn't tell anybody. And that's exactly what, it's only when she finished that I was able to do what I wanted to. We're not taking children serious. You know, we don't understand. You know, that passage that says children are arrows. The way we don't understand it angers me because you are responsible in an arrow for the direction that is going to go. You are responsible for the power that goes behind it. And if you are not there to do any of the two. So in UK now, if your child just takes the phone and say that you are beating them, the child will be taken away from you. They will make sure that you don't see the child for like 1 or 2 years. You will be sober. And they will take your child to a stranger to look after for you when you are there. Just because they say, mommy, I'm doing the thing that I will do here. And, you know, I wasn't expecting question on children discipline because I am angry about what I see. You know, I need to tell you somebody, if you want to worship these children, put them in one room, be pouring libation on them, and God will not move from his face. Because they're so valuable to you. Just build a room for them. Be pouring oil on them. You know, because what you get, what you do is what you get. You know, on my 70th birthday, I'm sure Toby is listening. The only thing that Toby wrote on that day was something that I had forgotten seriously. What did she do? He went to school and she beat his junior sister. You know, I think I forgot until my 70th birthday when he wrote it. It's in that in our program. And then I came and I found his sister crying. What happened? They told me beating. I said, when has it come to you doing justice and judgment for yourself? So when the young man came, just didn't listen to anything. I just said to go and apologize to her. First of all, she's the senior brother. She was convinced she offended. She didn't know exactly. I said, look, go and apologize to her. Her ego was very bruised, but she did it. It was at my 70th birthday that she was telling me what she wrote it down. Because what I told him is that you should have reported her and leave the judgment for me. But that young man wrote that since that day, he knew that he cannot lift his hand to beat anybody, let alone. That was the lesson he got. And I didn't know for those years that since that day, he would not lift his hand to beat anybody, let alone his wife. Now, if you are not present, you cannot train them. You can't train them from afar. You can't. Look, when I said that was difficult, yes. Because from the age of like 18 months, my dad can be beating. Because I know they understand. You think they don't understand? I tell you they understand. We used to, I was telling my sister about Pankere, Ojiragi, that Pankeres are in grades. You know, we used to have them in grades. You don't have to beat somebody with a big one, small person with a big one. You beat a small person with a small one. But the person will know that something is going wrong. You know, it is not to commit offense. None of them can show you a whip mark. But we did our job. And that's what you are supposed to do. They may not like it. They are not called to like. Even the Bible says that. I need to tell them that when you talk about love, the only God, the way God explained love to us in the Bible is through discipline. It says, he who the Lord loves, he does what? He said, if you are not listening, he said you are a bastard. So I need to tell the children that the expression of love to a child is that training. The expression of love is not just around. It is inside of chastening that God has kept our love for our children. And if you don't do it, you will get your results. Okay. This issue of children, for me, is a major matter. Now, I want to plead with us. Discipline is not sweet in the body. So they will naturally cry. They will naturally cry. And but the Bible even tells us not to look at that crying. You know, the Bible is very complete. I mean, am I lying? Is there no where the Bible says don't look at their face? So I'm not asking us to be wicked, and I'm not wicked. But I tell you that the benefit of it, you are going to reap, because you know, after a few years, just looking at them like this, you know that they should not go there. You know, after a few years, in fact, by the time like 10, you have finished your work. I used to tell people that once my child enters university, I've completed my work. I consider that by the time any of my children enters the university, I have done my work. I've done my job. I'm not owing them anything thereafter. Not that I don't pay school fees, but when it comes to training, that I should have completed it. If I have not, any of you can't do what we did. None of our children lived in boarding house. And it was deliberate. Because we knew that that is the period we have to do job. I know that life, you will say, is a bit more difficult now if I don't do but it was a decision taking. And we used to drive them 17 kilometers in the morning to school and bring them back on a daily basis. So I believe that the standard may be very, very high for today because of the way things are. I mean, the other thing we did is that we didn't allow any of our children to jump classes. No. They all read their primary to 6. They read their secondary to SS3. It's not that they are dull, very bright children. But me, I learned I learned a lesson. I had a double promotion before. And when I reviewed the double promotion, I was very smart. They thought I was smart. They gave me double promotion. I still did very well. I attended Ayodeji Olatrunji when it was still a comprehensive. When it was still this one that they are doing now. When the owner will go there, get to school before us. Olutola will be in school. He just be found out. Not by 8 o'clock, the man is there. It is their brown agbada, this kind of agbada. He's there. So it was a disciplined place. When they gave me the double promotion, I got to the next class and still beat everybody in the 6 arms. By the time I was leaving secondary school, I knew that I missed a maturity year. It's not about book. It's not about book. It is about maturity. And when I see the way people are rushing, I keep laughing. It will just be walking on it. People are tired. If you rush them and you rush them and you rush them and they finish at 18, 19, they will take a job and be doing job until they are fed up of job. So what is the rush about? You know, I don't understand, but it's bright. I don't want to disturb me in my job. I will just laugh. You know, because when our children got to the university, they were still one of the part of the youngest in the university. They were not Baba like me because me, I had wasted a few years. Before I went to the university, I done the engineering, I done all kinds of before I went to medical. So I was an Agbalagba in the place. But that's not what I'm asking for. I still got a young boy for this. I didn't miss out completely. You know, so let us accept commitment, responsibility for this. Let's accept that God has given them to us. We owe God responsibility to make them what God wants them to be. And the Lord will help. Don't take my prescription. No. If it is possible, do it. If it is not possible, don't do it, but do something close to it so that you will not receive query from God who has given them. Praise the Lord.
Thank you very much, sir. A big round of applause for them. We have quite some few questions, really. But now, what we're going to do is that all the questions that we're going to take, we have just a maximum of 1 minute each. Maximum of 1 minute each. So I'm going to take, okay, let me take your question first. Yes. Do you mind projecting or you want to come forward? Okay, the mic is there. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. My question is about the younger generation of married couple. I think that maybe in the older generation of women, they encountered a lot of difficulty and it looks like they were marginalized as women. They felt like their rights were not well addressed, and some of them had to sacrifice a lot, and their husbands were progressing ahead of them. So in this new generation now, with the new feminism thing, it looks like there needs to be a balance in gender roles. What is the role of a man in the home? What is the role of a woman in the home? We hear women or ladies now saying that I can never do this for my husband. My mother did it. This was what happened. I can never do this for my different things like that. So how do we balance that? That at the end of the day, you know, when you're now old, you don't feel like you missed out on some things that you were supposed to have benefited from, but your rights is still you still feel fulfilled. And not like you only serve your husband, like our mothers felt.
I wish you did ask me, Diola. I wish you did, because it's a whole lot, right? That's exactly the point. I wish you did it, because my own principle or understanding of marriage is that for you to enjoy the benefits that God will want you to, you are nothing. I'm sorry. That's my own. Okay? It's a position of a lot of responsibility on the man. Yes. Howbeit, from your own perspective, you operate at peace. There is no competition. There is nothing that I expect him to do. I don't expect him to do anything, but he does a lot. That's the truth. I never expected him to do anything, and I'm telling you. But the truth is this: he will not let me do it alone. I wash plates, he will come and wash the plates. We kind of compete on who does the laundry. Take a shot. The truth is this: I'm not expecting him to do it. And I know for a long time he liked it. That's just me. I told him that my understanding of that Genesis passage, right, is that I am made from a man to complement him, to make up for his defects. And that position for me is not any less. It is not the position that makes me to feel that I am not fulfilled. Okay? Everything I do in the home, for me, is fulfilling purpose. Okay, so when I wake up and I'm giving birth to children, I am not saying, Daddy, you are not helping me. I don't have time for it. Right? But the truth is this: that man also has a sense of belonging to God. He's also asking God, how am I supposed to be responding or to lay foundation in this home? I think that is the mix. For me, I think that is the problem that your generation has. You are saying your husband should do this. Suppose he doesn't have the flair for it. Supposing he doesn't even know what to do. Supposing he was not brought up like that. Then every day will be filled with horror. You are unhappy because he didn't do the things he ought to, the way you wanted to. But if you operate from my own privileged position of saying, look, this is my home and I'm taking responsibility. Look, we were in UK, his supervisor took me apart, one British lady like that. He's a thorough British. Took me apart and said, Ayo, does Philip help you in Nigeria? Or is he trying to make up so that I would think he's a good husband? And I said, no, he's not making it. He doesn't have time. But when he has the time, he makes up as much as possible. And I don't think I'd be grudging. But while he's not there, and I had things to do, I don't have to. When he's at home, when he's offering me, you're tired, knows. And he speaks every day here. If my car is making noise, I will say, Daddy, go there, wow. She said, but if he's not there, I will do it because I know him. Not because I have ceded it to him as his result. I think we need to tell ourselves something so that all of us can go home. Thank you.
And I want to say one thing that very, very simple. I think that the women have an idea that the home ends. And since once they are cooking for their husband, they think that they are carrying all the weight in the world. I think it's erroneous. The day you need a carpenter, you call the man. The day your car breaks down in town, you phone the man. The day NEPA is not working, you call the man. And you then reduce everything to kitchen. Just because you are making food, you think that the whole world has finished. And I'm saying this responsibly because there's this error that, you know, the only person working in the house is the person in the kitchen. And if the man does not join the kitchen, he's a dumb, lazy man. But all the other things in your life, you will call him. You call him when anything fails in the house and the man is running. I'm not talking about irresponsible men. Responsible men will go up when the bulb is dead. How many women put like and start the moving bulb? It is the man. And the carpenter, he looks on, you look for the carpenter, the tire, he does the tire, the mechanic, he does the mechanic, and you still say, this man doesn't do anything at home. I'm just balancing the thing on the other side. I remember a few days I was telling my daughter, yes, I know that our mothers suffered, but I can sense overcorrection in your generation, that in an attempt to correct it, you have got to the point where you don't feel responsible for anything, you don't want to do anything, you know. And I think we have, you know, in my house we have a lot of discussion. We're having it all the years, and we are now comfortable. We are comfortable with it. We discuss without fighting about it. You know, they tell me their own, I tell them my own. When I have opportunity, I will use Bible to knock their back to the ground, and they won't know what to say. But everybody, so I want to plead. I know there are things to correct in our marriage system. I know the men have occupied an abnormally high position, but I think we should also be thinking of other important things there. You know, I think men ought to be able to watch clothes. But I also think that it is not as one-sided as it's been made. If you think about it the way I'm thinking about it, you now remember what daddy does. The number of things daddy does. You know that it's not as useless as you think. That it's useful here, it's useful here. Then you might be able to balance. Praise the Lord.
If you were not here, one was put it, don't put it. All right, thank you very much, sir. Okay, money is causing a lot of problems within the marriage. That they are how to do money. That one. That one, the people. Very 30 seconds.
It's very easy. You know, all our cancer joints, I know some people don't be angry. All our accounts are joint accounts. And any bank that wants to refuse to open us joint accounts, that means that we are not opening accounts. All the accounts are joint. And it was deliberate. I know you give me all kinds of business now. Why is not possible? But we didn't think it was impossible. And we have succeeded thus far. We have succeeded. There were bankers who came to talk to me privately. He thought I was a stupid man. He will come and, you know, bankers will come and talk from side to say, why you know, you want to have some, I will just tell them that I'm sorry. And you know, today, the more, your money is our money. But my money is my money. That's what I keep hearing, that your money is our money. That's the man. No. But my own money is my money. And I beg to tell you, it's not anywhere in the Bible. 1 Timothy 5:8 is not a reference to husband and wife. It's reference to widows, actually. The passage that we are using to say if a man does not provide for that of his house is what is a passage on widows. How to look after widows. It's not a passage for husband and wife. There is no place in the Bible where God says that the man must do everything. Proverbs 31, 31 tells you about another woman who does virtually everything, and the man just listening about at the gate. So the truth is in between. So you cannot show me any passage that says the man must pay school fees, must buy the food, must buy the bed, and you must buy the chains. It's not in the Bible. And where I found a way, I think it is coming from Genesis. The way we understand that Genesis, that two people come together, they become one flesh. We thoroughly accepted it, and we have succeeded so far. You know, I'm the one that enjoys most from it. I don't buy anything.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Well, I don't know whether we can really, we have some about 3 questions. What I'm going to do is that I'm going to read the 3 questions. You can attend to them finally, because we're actually. Okay, so I'll just read the questions so that at least we can hear. What's your take on men who have those, some of these things you have mentioned? What's your take on men who have a problem with their wives being intelligent or too cerebral? What advice do you give? I think you answered that also in the discussion. What's your take, sir, on women who tend to always show their husbands they don't like sex, and you know most men enjoy it? 3. What's your take, sir, on women who tend to always show their husband they don't like sex, and you know most men enjoy it? And the third and last question here. I'm always blessed listening to you, Daddy. My question is what is your take on couples living miles and countries apart? I think that has been living miles and countries apart for work, business, and all that. Okay. Which of them? Okay, I think the only question unanswered is the
second question. We've answered living apart. No. As God will help us. Now, this issue of sex, it is something that I wish I would be able to gather men to talk together. Unfortunately, like my sister said, men can be very difficult to gather. Because I will tell you one plain truth as men. The reason why women don't like sex is that they don't enjoy the sex they have with them. Because, I don't know whether because I'm a doctor, there is a way you will have sex with your wife that she will want to have it again. There's a way you will have it, she doesn't want to have it because it's a body. I cannot, this actually is something that I'm hoping that I'll be able to tell men. Because when I read that women don't like sex, they will use the rub to rub their head and say that they have cold. No, I know that is the problem. Because for men, sex is a short thing and you get its own enjoyment. Now, men of God also learn that you may need to stretch yourself to let the woman also enjoy that. If you are inconsiderate, whether you will read book, whether you will learn it, whether you will get a teacher, if you don't get to the point that you know that you also have to do some amount of work to make sure that your wife too enjoys sex, gets to that place they call orgasm. There are people's wives who have never reached orgasm once. How can they like? Because they will tell you to climb and go and come down. Yes, the ones that are very good among them, they know that they have a responsibility. So they will lie down for you to come. They are not expecting anything. You know, and those of them who are bold will say, look, if that's what you continue to do, I'm sorry. You know, once we have got pregnant and had children, that's it. That's it. We have fulfilled what I need to fulfill for you. Because this thing, I have no reward from it at all. We have talked about emotion, I've talked about nerves. Now, if men cannot, and it may not be an easy job for a man who gets his own enjoyment within 1 or 2 minutes, to want to make the woman to enjoy it, you have to work at it. Telling you. I'm hoping that we will have an opportunity of telling men the truth. Because when you have sex that your wife considers to be rewarding for her own body too, she will run away from you less. Because you will know that you are not the only one that is going to benefit. For them, for some of them, it looks like punishment. It is punishment for them because you will finish quickly enjoying, and that's when a woman is just warming up. But you are finished, you have won your show, and you are going away. So behind this complaint, that's what is actually behind the complaint. I'm telling you, men. And I'm praying that there will be opportunity where I'll be able to actually speak to men and tell them that, look, you are wicked. That is your wickedness in this matter that is reflecting like women don't like it, women don't like it, women don't like it. Well, I think I'm said to.
Please, if you are clapping, can you just clap? Very, 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 very well. Please, can you clap very well? Thank you very much. That was an awesome session. I'm going to be giving Dr. Tony the mic to say something.
Thank you so much. We're really grateful that you're here and you stayed this long. I hope we've gotten something, no matter how big or small. Have we gotten something? Has it been a rewarding experience? But okay, I have just one announcement. We promised at the beginning of the event that we want to send out a sneak peek of the book. So we're passing a list around so that everybody, please help us fill your name and your email so that we can reach you and send the first sort of like a preview chapter just for you to get a sense of what the book is going to be about when it's done. So I'm passing a list now. If you can fill the list with emails of your friends, who you think could benefit, please add that. It doesn't have to be just your own email so that we can